Galatians 3, out of the mouth of the Most High proceedeth not evil and good. Jeremiah 18, thus saith the Lord, behold, I frame evil against you. Ezekiel 20, I gave them statutes that were not good, and judgments by which they should not live. And there are many examples of both of these. The God of the Bible is good. The God of the Bible is evil. He does not exist. Does God tempt people? In James 1, let no man say, I am tempted of God. God cannot be tempted, neither tempts he any man. God does not tempt any man. Genesis 22, it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham. The God of the Bible does not tempt. The God of the Bible does tempt. He does not exist. Should we kill? The Ten Commandments say, thou shalt not kill. Leviticus 24, with a different word, says, he that kills any man shall surely be put to death. And on and on. We find verses, don't kill. Yet in Exodus 32, God said, pick up your sword and kill every man his brother, companion, neighbor. And the people lamented because the Lord had smitten many of the people with a great slaughter. If you go through the Bible, you can make a list that takes 10 pages just to list of all the times God either committed, commanded, or condoned killing. The triune God of Scripture says, do not kill. The triune God of Scripture says, kill, kill, kill. He does not exist. Should we own slaves? There are many verses that endorse slavery in the Bible. Leviticus, moreover, of the children of strangers that do live among you, you shall buy them. They shall be your possession. They shall be your slaves forever. And there are many verses like that. I'll skip them all because you know they're there. In the New Testament, slaves, doulos, obey in all things your masters. And yet, in Isaiah 58, let the oppressed go free, break every yoke. Matthew 23, don't be called masters, for one is your master. The God of the Bible is pro-slavery. The God of the Bible is anti-slavery. He does not exist. In Romans 15, we see God described as the God of peace. And yet in Exodus 15, the Lord is described as a man of war. The God of the Bible is peaceful. The God of the Bible is not peaceful. He does not exist. A man of war is not. A God of war is not a God of peace. Was Jesus peaceable? He said, my peace I leave with you. And when he was born, on earth, peace, goodwill toward men. And yet Jesus himself said, if you believe he lived and even said these things, Jesus said, think not that I'm come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword, to separate families, to separate fathers and daughters and mothers. And then he told his disciples, if you don't have a sword, go out and buy one. He wanted them to have swords. Was Jesus trustworthy? In John 8, he said, though I bear record of myself, my record is true. And yet, in John 5, he said, if I bear record of myself, my record is not true. The God of the Bible is reliable. The God of the Bible is not reliable. He does not exist. Can you see God? We're trying to define what this God is like. Can you see the triune God of Scripture? John 1:8, nobody has seen God at any time. Exodus 33, God said, you cannot see my face. Nobody shall see me and live. John 6, not that any man hath seen the Father except Jesus. 1 John 4, nobody has seen God at any time. That rules out visual evidence for God, doesn't it? And yet, in Genesis 32, for I have seen God face to face. Exodus 30, the Lord spake to Moses face to face as a man speaks to his friend. And on and on. So the God of the Bible can be seen. The God of the Bible cannot be seen. He's a married bachelor. He does not exist. Is God omnipotent? Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? And Jesus said, with God all things are possible. And yet in Judges 1:19, listen to this. The Lord was with Judah. The Lord was with Judah, and he drove out the inhabitants of the mountain. But he could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley because they had chariots of iron. The Lord was with Judah, but he wasn't strong enough to drive out chariots of iron. The God of the Bible is all-powerful. The God of the Bible cannot fight chariots of iron. He does not exist. Does God live in light? Thank you. Perfect timing. Does God live in light? 1 Timothy said God dwells in the light, which no man can approach. James says he's the father of lights. And there are many verses that say that God lives in light, and yet there are many other verses that say he does not. The Lord said he would dwell in the thick darkness in 1 Kings. 2 Samuel, he made darkness pavilions about him, dark waters and thick clouds. Psalm 18, he made darkness his secret place. In Psalm 97, clouds and darkness are round about him. The God of the Bible lives in light. The God of the Bible lives in darkness. The God of the Bible does not exist. Does the God of the Bible accept human sacrifice? Yes. There are many places where the God of the Bible actually asked for and accepted human sacrifice. It didn't go through it with Abraham and Isaac, but it was part of his plan. And of course, you all know the story of Jephthah, who actually made a vow unto God that if he won this war, he would sacrifice the first thing that came out, and of course it was his daughter. She was burned to death as a sacrifice acceptable unto God. The God of the Bible accepts human sacrifice. The God of the Bible rejects human sacrifice. He does not exist. Does God know the future? Isaiah 46, God said, I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times what is still to come. And yet, when God was talking to Abraham there, when he asked him to sacrifice his son Isaac, he said, finally, lay not your hand upon the boy. Don't do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, seeing that you have not withheld your son. When God said, now I know, what does that mean? He didn't know before. He wouldn't have had to do this. He might have said maybe Abraham, now you know, but God said, now I know. The God of the Bible knows the future. The God of the Bible does not know the future. He does not exist. According to Christian theology, the God of the Bible is a personal being with freedom to make decisions. And yet he's also a being who knows the future. If you know the future, then the set of future facts is fixed, isn't it? If God knows what he's going to do tomorrow at 12 noon, he can't change his mind. If you cannot change your mind, you're not a free personal agent. You do not have the ability to make decisions. So the God of the Bible is supposedly this free being who can make decisions, and yet since he knows the future, he is not free to make decisions and change his mind. Therefore, the God of the Bible does not exist. The God of the Bible is described as a spirit. God is a spirit. In fact, even James says we are arguing not for a material being, but for something transcendent, something non-physical. That's what he's arguing for tonight. And yes, I am a judge. I think the tools of science are methodologically limited to natural methods. But think about this. The God of the Bible is also described as a God of power. What is power? Power is material. Power is a physical thing. How much work can be done over a certain amount of time, that's power.